Students talk about not being able to learn what they need to learn.
Rarely are they encouraged to find their own language for their experience of the world.
I didn't really get a whole lot through my primary education, elementary school or middle school.
The school itself was not taking advantage of their leadership skills.
We learn out of the book like our whole entire lives, but we don't really talk about the relationships of what's going on like in the present.
It is no secret that public education is failing our youth. 1 in 5 16 to 24-year-olds is neither working nor in school. The high school dropout rate continues to rise, and 30% of those who do graduate and go to college drop out in their first year. Year after year, young people are unable to connect to their futures. The human capital and potential they represent remains unrealized and unavailable to our society. The Learning Institute offers a unique response to this problem.
Teachers talk about not being able to teach and to be able to use their skills. And students talk about not being able to learn what they need to learn. And it seems to me that the Learning Institute kind of could help people redefine what that is for both groups. And so the teachers could put themselves in a new role where it's not their responsibility, quote, to deposit knowledge to the student and that he kind of gather it in and take it away, but that people engage in a process where they learn together. The program is designed to take people in 11th and 12th grade and to get them through what would be called 13th and 14th grade, so that by that time, in the 4 years that we plan to work together, to get to be at a place where you feel comfortable of moving on.
A cornerstone of the curriculum is a group relations conference based on the Tavistock tradition and model of learning.
A Tavistock conference is an experiential learning opportunity. They range from weekend conferences to 7-day conferences. But the significance is that there are opportunities for learning and a way to be reflective and see what's happening as you experience it.
Experiential learning affected me in that it gave me the tools necessary to have fun while learning and how to be creative. It also made me a lot more open-minded, I think. It led me to see all of the different perspectives.
First brought to this country from the Tavistock Institute in London by A.K. Rice, this experiential method of studying group dynamics and the ways in which we take up roles in groups exposes participants to systems thinking.
The Tavistock Conference operates around some principles: boundaries, authority, roles, task, and self-awareness. I liked the idea of boundaries in terms of like time or physicality.
The people who participated in the group relations conferences were not just teachers. I also had assistant superintendents, project managers, and principals and vice principals attend. They were remarkably impressed by the experience. They were also shocked because it gave them an opportunity to study the dynamics and see themselves in it as well. Then when they came back to their classrooms, they had a frame of reference from which to work. And I think what they got was how they contributed to some of the dynamics, how their behavior affected their colleagues and peers, and how their behavior as a teaching group affected the students that they were responsible for.
I think that our school systems divide the subjects and they don't think of them as integrated topics. group relations helps you see the connections between things. You will never, ever again solve problems after that with just the information that you have in your little subset. You will always be reminded that you are part of a context, and that context is creating you, and you are contributing to that context. You will always understand that you are related. You are an organism that is shifting and changing with the world around you.
I think what happens is that the group relations conference let them see that people can see you anyway, whether you build a moat around you. You got to come off the island every now and then, and people are going to know who you are anyway. And they also learn that the students are a reflection of who you are in terms of how you discipline, how you structure your class, how the students behave in relationship to other students in school and things. So a lot of that already had a level of transparency, but I think the teachers became conscious of that fact. And so why not move to a higher level of transparency? And then that led to them working more collaboratively with one another.
It helps them to understand the ways in which past family patterns may predispose them to taking up particular roles.
I had grown up in a pretty dysfunctional family, in the sense that, you know, my father was an alcoholic and things were pretty chaotic all the time, and so I always was seeing what was going on, but we could never talk about it. We had the cover story over what was going on in the family, and so when I first went to a group relations conference, I learned two things. Number one, I was actually encouraged to say what I saw and to name the dynamics and to tell the truth. That was incredibly freeing to me. You always feel a little crazy when you grow up in dysfunctional families because you have one experience and people are telling you how to interpret it another way. And what I learned in the group relations conference is I learned to trust myself. I learned that my experience was real, and I was encouraged to value that experience, and then I was encouraged to find the words to name that experience for myself without having someone else name it for me or tell me the meaning of that experience. And that allowed me to stand in the world much more confidently than I think anything else would have in my life.